Today is February 10th, 2023. I'm here with Colonel Pat Thompson. I'm Diane Barrett. We're recording our coming out stories for the BE collection. So Pat, good to see you again.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for being a part of this. It's
happy to do that.
Oh, yeah. Great, good. So let's go ahead and start with your first awareness, probably that you might be a little different than the girl next door. How about that?
Well, you know, I had two older sisters. I was the youngest of five, but I had two older sisters, and they, I guess, should have been my role models. But I knew from early on that I was very different from them. I was more tomboyish. I liked to go climb trees and play ball, and they didn't. They liked to primp, you know, and talk about boys and stuff. So I just was very different from the beginning.
So many of the women we've interviewed, as you may have noticed, say that they were tomboys. I was not, but tried to be. I tell the story of climbing a tree, and I got up okay, but I didn't know how to get down. So I had to wait till my father came from the Chicago Loop to where we lived, which is on the south side of Chicago. He came via train and talked me down. So all lesbians are not tomboys. How old were you when you decided that maybe you should pursue a different direction in terms of your fondness?
Well, I always wanted, I grew up in a small town, and I always wanted to know what was on the other side of the mountains. What
was that?
Pardon?
What town was that?
That was Troy, North Carolina.
Okay.
A town of about 3,000. I think that counted the farmers in the area as well and their families. Very small. I would think it was a really good town to grow up in. I look back on my childhood. I think I had many advantages being from a small town. I had good teachers, I thought, in school, and a lot of support. And our town was, you know, everybody was friendly to everybody. You know, there were no strangers. After I got out of nursing school, I was in my hometown about 6 months waiting for my orders to go on active duty in the military.
And what moment or time period in your life did you think you're a lesbian? Or were you able to use that word in terms of identifying yourself?
Well, I always had good, close girlfriends, not intimate, but close, you know, through high school. And then in nursing school, the same thing. I had a lot of friends, and I played basketball for the school. And so we had a lot of closeness, but no intimacy. So then when I got in the military, well, just before I joined the military, I'll take that back. There was a student nurse anesthetist at our hospital that was living in the same barracks area that the nurses had. And so I met her, and we had a relationship, a close relationship for years, actually. I joined the Air Force Nurse Corps, and she joined right afterwards. And she was in Texas, I was in California. So she used to get flights from Texas up to California. And so we would see each other once in a while.
Did you have a love affair with her, or?
I did, yeah, for a while. And then slowly but surely it just kind of deteriorated. And I went my way, she went her way. And the last time I talked to her, I was in relationship with someone else, and she called me, and I told her that I didn't want to hear from her again unless she did something about her alcoholism. Mm. And I never heard from her again.
Oh. What do you think happened to her?
I'm not sure.
That was it. Huh?
I thought it might be not good, since I didn't hear from her again. So
when you decided to join the military, were you aware that they didn't they didn't want lesbians in their service?
Right. I was well aware of that. And I knew that I couldn't be out. I knew that that I had to pretend to be heterosexual. And I did that because I really wanted to serve. Mm-hmm. I wanted to be in the military. So I had lost my brother, who was in the Navy during World War II. And part of my wanting to serve was in his honor.
Huh. What a wonderful thing. Huh?
So,
what was his name?
Fred.
Fred?
Fred, yes. He was the oldest in my family. There were 5 of us. He was oldest.
Did you enter the same branch of the military as he was in?
I did not. I tried. I was trying to join the Navy, but in order to join the Navy, I had to pay my way, which I wasn't making much money. I had to pay my way to Raleigh, which was about 100 miles, and I had to pay for overnight to get my paperwork done. So I called the Air Force nurse recruiter, and she was out there the next day helping me fill out paperwork. So I joined the Air Force.
Good.
Yeah, which was a good thing. And then I was with a unit in the Air Force. I was with them for like 18 years. And the unit I was with was abolished. They were cutting back. So a friend of mine told me that the Army National Guard needed a chief nurse. So I interviewed for that, and they said, you sound like just what we need. So I was with them for probably 19 and a half years.
Wow, that's a relationship.
Yeah.
So at that time, were you open to yourself about being a lesbian? Were you in a relationship?
I knew that I was a lesbian, and I was living with my partner much of the time that I was with the Air Force, with the Army National Guard in Sacramento. Yeah. And so I would drill like on weekends, 1 weekend a month, and then 2 weeks a year active duty.
Mm-hmm. So were you frightened of the exposure?
No.
No, good.
No, I was very careful.
At any time in your own service, were you anxious that you would be exposed?
No.
No.
There really wasn't a time I was.
So at what point did they ask you if you were homosexual?
Only on the papers that I filled out.
I see. That's
yeah. Right. And I told them I wasn't.
Right.
I wasn't.
No.
As far as they were concerned, I was not.
So let you talk to my basketball player. I'm sitting here listening.
Hi.
But basketball is a sport I loved. So I played it in college. And years later, I was looking for the coach. And so I called the university and I said, I'm looking for this person. Well, who was she? I said, she was to the basketball team, such and such years. To which I was informed they did not have a women's basketball team during that time. And there was no such coach. It was pre-Title IX. They didn't give us money, but I didn't think that was the question. But they had to deny the coach, this team, and everything so that they wouldn't be looked at as not having put money into the women's sports. Isn't it amazing?
Wow. Yes, yeah. It is.
Mm-hmm.
You were after my time too. Did you play full court?
Yes.
Yeah. See, I played before that.
Well,
as well.
That change happened half the way through college.
Yeah. Yeah. And I like the old way better, but I adjusted, and you did too.
It's just such a great sport.
Yeah, it really is. I think I played 16 years.
Wow. What position did you play? What position did you play?
Well, I started out playing forward, and then when I was at Mather Air Force Base, they needed me to be a guard, so I was, and I guess I was a better guard than a forward because I got trophies for that.
Somebody thought you were, right?
Yeah.
Well, with me, I changed schools halfway through college, and I tried out for basketball, the basketball team, and we had a great team. But the coach asked me what position to play, and at that point I was playing center, even though I'm substantially short for center. I'm under.
Had a good jumper, I bet.
Yeah, I could.
Yeah,
I could jump, and I could put my hand over the basket, which most people
really can't. Wow, I couldn't do that.
And she still thinks she could do that. That's a problem. I can do that. There are many other things I can't do, but yeah. That was a phenomenal team. I had one classmate that could stand in the center circle and hit probably, I'd say 60 to 70% of the shots from there. So we used that consistently. It broke up, it just trashed any defense anybody had. What school was that? University of Portland. So anyhow, it's an amazing thing. You play with these people for 2 or 3 years, and then you go someplace and you don't remember their name now.
True.
How tall are you?
How tall am I?
Yeah. Yes.
Well, I used to be about 5'6", 5'6.5", but then I got longer feet and shorter me. I'm about 5'4" now.
Oh, uh-huh.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I got shorter as I got older.
Right. Yes, we all do. Your spine shrinks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I'm 5'8.5", but I could still hit that rim.
5'8.5". Wow, that's tall. I remember when I first saw the first basketball players at Winston-Salem at one of the cigarette companies. They used to drive us on a bus up there just to watch them play. Oh, they were amazing. They got paid to play basketball. They were never having to work for the company. I mean, like other employees, they were just paid to play basketball.
Amazing. Yeah.
And I thought, wow, wouldn't that be great?
Would you rather be a paid basketball player or paid colonel? Yeah.
Oh, I guess the latter.
I guess you have to say that. I accept that. Okay, so where are we at with our story? I had to bring her in for that basketball thing. I knew you'd enjoy it. Thank you. So we got you through basketball, and then when do you think that you actually became comfortable saying I'm a lesbian? First to yourself and then to the public.
Well, I think after I knew, I was okay with it. I wasn't shy. I wasn't embarrassed about it. I was asked after I got to California how long I had been gay, and I didn't know what that meant. I mean, to me, gay was happy, but but I learned the lingo. It took a while.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yeah, I was invited to a party. I was playing basketball at Mather, and one of the civilian teams, some of the members invited me to a party. And that's how I got associated with the Sacramento area.
Uh-huh. It's a busy area, huh?
Yeah, that was great.
So I guess we're at our close of our coming out experience. Did you want to add anything to that? Did you want?
Yeah, I was 80 before I came out to my family in North Carolina. I don't think it surprised my niece and nephews, because they were younger and they were very accepting. And by that time, my parents were gone, and one brother. So there were 4 of us kids left, but the others were still in Troy, and I was the one that left. So that's how I got to where I got. I had to leave my hometown and my family, which was okay. And after nursing school, I was ready. I was ready to go. I was ready to fly.
Would you recommend that women today go into the military?
I absolutely would.
Well, we're glad we know you. So I appreciate your support of the project and your referrals, and just knowing you both.
Thank you.
Great.
I'll just send that right back at you.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Okay.
Yeah, to be on your team. Thank you.
I know, we have a good team. Yeah.
I really appreciate what you're doing for our community.
Thank you.
Yeah. I wanted to change the military thing. I was in the military for 10 years after I met Barb. Yeah. It's hard to pull all these numbers together sometimes.
Well, in a way, your sexuality must have been a stressful part of that time too.
Yeah, I tried to talk her in going to Washington, D.C. for that 3 years with me, but she had a business in Sacramento and didn't feel like she could leave. So we just got together when we could, and that wasn't very often, but we could talk on the phone, which we thought might be monitored, from a communication building there in Washington. So we just had to, we made up a code. We had our own code.
Good.
Number 5 said, "I love you." We would work that in. Yeah.
Do you still use it?
Well, we have it engraved on the back of our rings.
Do you? How nice. Yeah.
5, 5, and 5 means
very good.
Yeah. These are, on the back of our wedding rings. Whoops.
I see. They're beautiful. So thank you.
Thank you.